Home sales went down this month, but don't let that trick you. Prices are still going up. In fact, we just saw record high pricing in nearly a dozen Saskatchewan cities, and that includes Moose Jaw. So what's going on? Really, at the end of the day, there just aren't enough homes for sale. There's still a lot of buyers looking, and sometimes they're bidding and they're not getting their house. And then with all these ups and downs of the economy, we got President Trump, we got Premier Carney, we got Elon and Trump fighting on Twitter. There's so much going on. It's the crazy world we live in, and it's just uncertain. People aren't sure what to do. They don't know if they should buy. They don't know if they should sell. They don't know if they should wait, and that just causes some uncertainty in our market. But the market is still stronger than usual for this time of year. And we're still, like I said, we're seeing prices increase. So why this matters, if you're thinking of buying or selling this summer, you do not want to miss this market report. I'm going to break down all the stats, all the data, so that you can make an informed decision based on the numbers, not based on your feelings, your realtor's feelings, or anyone's feelings, but based on the actual numbers from SRA, so that we can make an informed decision. The other thing, at the end of this video, I'm going to go through a couple stats that aren't in our typical market report. So if you want to see some interesting numbers around close to list price and different things like that, what is the average home selling for? We saw the neighbor list the home down the street for this price. Can I get that? Or did it actually sell for way less? Did it sell for more? What is actually happening? So we're going to talk about that at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's get into this market report for June 2025. Alrighty, Saskatchewan, what is going on in our real estate market? So we got 1,750 home sales in May. So we're doing a June update. It's June right now, and we're looking back at our data for May. Okay, so we got a 5% decrease compared to May 2024. We're down, sales are down, but prices are up. Okay, we're up 16%. Our sales are up 16% over a 10-year average for May, following a record. There's not as much in here as last month, but there is some key points. So I'm going to kind of glaze over this. Our province's housing continues to exceed expectations, with May marking 23 consecutive months. 23 consecutive months. It's almost 2 years of sales over the 10-year average. Okay. Tight market conditions continue to drive further gains this month as the province's residential benchmark is the typical home that sells in Saskatchewan. So what does this typical home look like? I'll show you the attributes. You can pause the video down below, but it's the typical home. That's how we measure a benchmark price. And we look at this. This is up to $369,500 in May. Last month it was $365,000. So we're up almost $10,000, $9,000 on just month to month on our benchmark home. So prices are rising. I thought this was really interesting, and I kind of talked about this in the intro. Significant price gains were not limited to the provincial benchmark, but all these cities, boom, 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 Moose Jaw, we're all up. All these cities are up when it comes to benchmark pricing for this month. That's a lot. Record benchmark prices across nearly a dozen communities in May, with gains in the highest one. I'm going to show you this chart too, up to 18%. They are optimistic that the market conditions will trend more towards balance in the more coming months. Right now, when our market is such a seller's market, what's it really hard to do? It's really easy to sell, but not very few. Most sellers are trying to sell their house to buy another house. So it's great. Hey, sell your house. Awesome. But what do you buy? You can't buy because there's so much competition. And that's a problem that a lot of us are running into. So if you're finding yourself in that pickle and you don't know what to do, send me a text and I would love to help you out, or send me a DM. I'll help you out and we'll make a plan on how you can sell your house successfully for top dollar, and then how we can also get you into a house that's the right fit, where we're not in competition and all these other things that we don't want. So I've had lots of buyers be successful in this recently, buyer sellers, where they're selling their house and they're successfully getting into their property that they're looking for, the home that they couldn't get or whatever. So there's a strategy, and we got to look at that, but that is really tough right now. So hopefully as we head more towards balanced conditions, then we can see that it's a little easier if you're selling to buy, that you can do that. Okay, so that's kind of the big thing right now. So this is all of Saskatchewan. We're up to $369,500. That is up 8.5% on the year, which is pretty significant. Okay, here's some of the data you can see. You can pause the video, look at that. Residential sales by price range, number of sales, not going to talk about it right now. Year-to-date sales. Some graphs. I'm not going to talk about these because I do want to get into the Moose Jaw report. So I'll let you pause that. You can pause it, look at it. Okay, there's regional highlights. You can look at that as well. Boom, 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 skipping through that. Here's the one I kind of want to talk about a little bit. Benchmark pricing. So like we said, benchmark is the typical home that sells in Saskatchewan, or the typical home that sells in that specific city. Then when we get into neighborhoods, it's the typical home that sells in that specific neighborhood. And there's a chart that shows you the benchmark attributes, and I can show you that. Okay, so here we have Saskatoon. Oh, I meant to highlight Regina too. Saskatoon, our big cities, our benchmark price is higher, 433.7. It's up 9.2% on the year. Regina, our other big city, our capital, we're up 340 on the benchmark pricing, 6.5%. So right now, if you want to live in Saskatoon, it costs you more money than if you want to live in Regina. Moose Jaw, which is where I live and where, you know, maybe you're looking at moving to, maybe that's why you're watching this video, where our average price right now is 277,400. So we're up 13.4% on the year. So if you were thinking about buying last June, you're now paying 13.4% more this year because you waited for those rates to go down. There's a lot of people waiting for rates to go down. And look, we're paying more for our houses right now. So you can kind of take a look at that. There's a breakdown. There's the numbers. Kind of interesting to see the benchmark pricing across our province. Okay. So that's kind of that. Let's hop into Moose Jaw. Let's see what's going on specifically in Moose Jaw, because this is what we're here to talk about, is the Moose Jaw market report in June. What's going on? So here again, you can see it in Moose Jaw. This is going through May on the years, May 2025. Just in general, we're really a detached market. You can see the dark blue, that's detached homes. That's primarily what we sell. We do see some other stuff in here, some apartments, you know, little big apartment section there, mobiles, townhouses, but really by far, we're a detached market in Moose Jaw. That's what average home buyer and average home seller are looking at, okay? Our benchmark pricing is a little lower than the rest of Saskatchewan, which is great. Moose Jaw is a great place to live. We offer a lot of amenities, great restaurants, food, dining, entertainment, all these things. And you can get a house at an affordable price. But compared to last year, we're up 13.4%. That is significantly higher. That is a big percentage. You know, if you're making that kind of money in the stock market or something, that was your return, you would be pumped. Okay. So that's a really high increase on our benchmark pricing. We got 72 sales. We have 101 new listings. We have 133 in inventory right now, and we have 1.8 months of supply. This is down quite a bit from last month. I think last month, it's going off memory here, I think it was 2.0. So we're still down. Our supply continues to decrease. We continue to have less supply in Moose Jaw. Those good homes are getting scooped up. People are buying and selling. When we break it down, here's kind of some data you can look at here. For a detached, our total or all of Moose Jaw, total sales 72. We talked about this. Days on market. This is one you guys always want to know about. Sorry, where's my pencil? Is this a pencil? Oh, there's my pencil. Okay, we want to talk about days on market. Days on market is one people always ask about. If I'm buying a home and it's right now we're 38 days. So if it's under 38 days, can I offer them really low? Can I lowball them? No, you can't, because it's still within a reasonable range. Yeah, some homes are selling within a couple days, but still it takes on average for the average home in Moose Jaw, if you have an average home, it should sell 38 days. If you have an above average home, it might sell sooner. Okay, and that's what's happening. Some of these homes that are priced well and they're above average, they're selling quickly. But if you have an average home, it should take 38 days. If you have a home that maybe needs some work, you need to do shingles, you need to do windows, the furnace needs to be done, the sewer line's cooked, well, you might sit longer because someone might not want to take on that kind of a project. Once we get up into that higher mark, we're 60, 70, 80, 90 days. That's not ideal for a seller, and the buyers can start offering lower. Maybe you price it too high. You're asking for too much money. It's really weird how at the end of the day, the market corrects itself. If you price your home too high, you ask for too much money, the market will correct itself and you will get offers that are lower. And eventually when you need to sell your house, you will sell it for lower. Okay. If you price your home too low, you'll get multiple offers and it will sell for higher. It's just the market corrects itself. The buyers are super aware of what's going on. They're super aware of what they're looking for. And we really see that this comes to life. Benchmark 277. And then see here, actually our average home sold for 313. That's if we take all the home sales. That's just, we do the average. So it's higher. That's why we want to look at the benchmark. So let's even talk about in Moose Jaw, what is a benchmark? I'm just going to skip ahead to that. So there's your benchmark price going up. Benchmark attributes. This is the Moose Jaw benchmark attributes. So it's 3 beds, it's 2 baths, it's a single garage with about 1,100 square feet, built in around 1963. That's the average benchmark home in Moose Jaw. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so what we don't want is we don't want to throw off our benchmark data by having, maybe there's 3 homes in Moose Jaw that sell for 3 million. Well, that would totally throw off our average number. That's why we're looking at the benchmark. When we look at all the average style homes, what do we end up getting? Okay. Anyways, that's for Moose Jaw. That's Moose Jaw monthly. So that's what's going on in Moose Jaw right now. There's a whole bunch of numbers in here. You can pause the video and look at these. I'm not gonna break this down. You guys will be here forever. Okay, let's look at our neighborhoods. So before we even get to neighborhoods in Moose Jaw, I just want to show you the map. So this is our Moose Jaw neighborhood map. We have these are our neighborhoods. So Hillcrest is what we call East End. People from Moose Jaw call it East End, and then you have Central Moose Jaw, which is kind of Main Street. Or sorry, I should backtrack. East End is 9th or Main Street over to 9th Avenue East. Okay, and then Central is Main Street over to 9th Avenue West, and then 9th Avenue West over to the end is Palliser. Anything above, there's kind of this like little river that runs here, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, that above it, we have what we call Sunningdale VLA. Okay, but they're all really different. Iron Bridge is lumped into this. This is our high-end neighborhood in Moose Jaw where we see $1 million home selling. Iron Bridge Estates. This is where we have, so this throws off the number because if a couple homes sell in here, then it really increases the average sales of months for VLA Sunningdale. VLA is those Veterans Land Act lots. They're those big lots where they have, you know, houses built anywhere from like 60s to 80s kind of in there. There's some really nice homes, some really big homes, and they come with a really big lot. West Park is our new development. You know, when you drive into West Park, there's a sign starting in the 500s. That's kind of what you're looking at. It's new construction. West Park, you know, you're looking at, you know, 1,400 square foot bungalow or like an 1,800 square foot 2-story and up. There's $1 million homes in West Park as well. Not a lot, but there is some. And then we get into Sunningdale. Sunningdale's kind of developed like, you know, 1970 to 2010, something like that. So there's some newer homes in here, depending on what end of the, I guess, crescent you're on. It's a big crescent. They're all flowers. I don't know if you knew that. Sunningdale is like all the names in here are like all flowers and plants. So that's how they name the streets in Sunningdale. Fun fact. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me. I'm pretty sure they're all flowers. Anyways, so yeah, that's Sunningdale. Sunningdale, you know, your average home, we'll get into that number, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at Sunningdale. It's newer, bigger home, you know, 1980-ish kind of style home for the most part. Then we have Westmount for our South Hill people. South Hill is one of those things. It's like you either love it or you hate it. We hear people all the time. They're like, I do not want to live in South Hill. And then people are like, I love South Hill. It's awesome. There's a new school going up in South Hill. That's going to be a huge plus. Not sure what it's going to look like for traffic and routes and busing and all those things. Hopefully the city has some sort of plan. Which they always do. They always have a plan, right? So hopefully they do. But new school's going up. That's going to be really exciting. Everyone over here in South Hill is going to get to go over to that new school. West Heath is over here where the new school is going to be, and West Heath is where we have some new construction. So we're talking Everton Crescent, we're talking Brigham, all that kind of stuff. Mustang Trails over here. That's kind of West Heath. So that's what you're looking at over in that neighborhood. So that's kind of newer construction in South Hill. And then South Hill is a big range. We have houses that are early 1900s, and then we have homes that are all the way up to brand new builds. So it's really a mixed neighborhood over here. Lots of good homes, really nice soil according to the home inspectors. Nice neighborhood. Okay, one thing I will mention, a little bit of a bottleneck for access. If you live over here in West Heath, you got to rip down, you know, you rip out here, come down all the way down to Cotto, you drive all the way down Cotto, boom, Cotto's a bottleneck, always has construction, stop sign, 4-way, no lights, right? Then you hit 9th, then you can go out. So that's one thing. If you're thinking about moving to South Hill, that's just one thing to be aware of. The farther down you get, the little bit more of a bottleneck it can be. A lot of people that live over here, they're like, oh, I love my drive, I don't mind it at all, it's not bad. But that's just one thing we hear about people that are trying to move out of South Hill. They're like, I just hate ripping down Cotto and there's construction and whatever. So, you know, make your own choice. But this is a lovely neighborhood, but that's just common feedback that we hear from people that are looking to move out of Westmount or South Hill neighborhood. Okay, let's get into this data. So Central, which you said is right here from Main Street over to 9th Avenue West. Okay, they kind of built Moose Jaw from the center out. Lots of homes in here are early 1900s. So if we go down, does it give me benchmark data? No, it doesn't. We're gonna look at that after. Okay. So we look at Central. Here's our benchmark. You know, average home in Central sounds for $208,000. We got 8 sales. We got 20 new listings. Inventory at 32. 4 months of supply. So if you're selling in Central neighborhood, your house might sit a little longer. Check this out. Let's look at days on market. One sec. Sorry. Where's my drawing? My pencil. Here we go. Here's my pencil. So if we're looking at selling in Central, we are sitting on the market. Days on market. We're looking at only 32. So that's actually not bad at all. So that's up this month. So we're doing really good. Sometimes in the past, you can see that Central tends to sit a little longer. So that's really positive. Okay. Oh, here's our attributes. They don't have them in there. Fantastic. Thank you for that. So anyways, for detached homes, 219,000, we're up 11%. So everyone is up right now. All the properties are up. Let's look at Hillcrest. Hillcrest is over here. We're looking at Main Street over 9th Avenue East for the East Enders, okay, of Moose Jaw. We got 13 sales. We got 23 new listings, 25 in inventory, and we have 1.92 months of supply. Average or benchmark price, 174.9. That's up 9% on the year. Okay. Days on market, 34. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Right there. Boom. Oh. Okay, average sale price 177, average benchmark 174. Okay, 13 sales. This data is from 13 sales. Okay, let's check it out. Moving on to Palliser. Palliser, I love this neighborhood, a really great neighborhood. Lots of people want to move to Palliser right now. It's a pretty competitive neighborhood. So you do see that our residential benchmark price for Palliser is up at 309,300, which just seems crazy to me. But yeah, it's getting up there. 14 sales this month, 17 new listings, which is down. We're down on listings in Palliser. Inventory, 14 months of supply, 1. So like I said, a little bit more competitive of a neighborhood here. People want to live in Palliser. Lots of people are interested in moving into Palliser. So you can just see that in general. There's a little more competition. If you're looking at moving to Palliser, you might run into some competition. Desirable neighborhood, people like it here. Days on market 29, lower than the other 2 neighborhoods. The benchmark price, like we said, 309.9. So here's like kind of benchmark attributes. So this is what the average home would look like in Palliser. We're looking at 3 beds, 2 baths, single garage with, square footage, 1,116, priced at 309, average built 1964. Now, obviously, if you have a 2-car, you got 4 beds, fully renovated, this price can be up, right? We see homes sell for more in Palliser, of course, but if you have this type of home in Palliser, this is probably what you're getting. And if it doesn't need work, I mean, like I said, if it needs a new furnace, it needs shingles, needs all this stuff, well, this would be lower. Okay, VLA Sunningdale. VLA Sunningdale, like we talked about, is up here, and there's a lot of factors that go into this neighborhood that can affect the price really quickly. Like I said, if we sell, there's also apartments here. So if you got like 3 apartment sales, they'll sell for less. And then if you have like, say you had 3 houses sell, which doesn't really happen in Ironbridge, but say you had 3 houses sell in Ironbridge, that would definitely change the data and change the numbers because those houses sell for more. But we're still up 10% on the year for our Sunningdale people. If you were going to sell your house last year, your house is now worth 10% more if you're in the benchmark, and it's at 491,200. So we're almost up at that 500,000 for benchmark in Sunningdale, which is getting a lot, which is getting hard for some buyers to get into that price range. So this is a little bit of a higher end neighborhood. In Moose Jaw, we got 19 sales, 12 new listings. So 19 sales in Sunningdale. That's way up. Look at that. Oh my gosh. 171% year on the year. 19 sales in Sunningdale for this month. That is crazy. New listings were up 12. Inventory's down. Months of supply at 1.6. Again, just like Palliser, a little more competitive in this neighborhood. People want to get into this neighborhood. One thing too that I'll just mention, Moose Jaw schools are catchment. So like if you live, depending what neighborhood you live in, you have to check with your local school board, depending if you're going with public or Catholic, but depending where you live could actually determine which schools you go to, so you should check with your local school board on that. But that is just one thing to be aware of. That could be why people are moving. They want to be in certain schools or they want to be in certain neighborhoods, all that kind of stuff, right? That's a big drive for people, big motivation. We look at Sunningdale, because of this price point, they do tend to sit longer, so maybe a little less competitive. Those homes are sitting for 52 days on market. It doesn't mean, and I've seen it, there's homes in Sunningdale that have multiple offers on it. 100% they do. So if the right house comes up, it's still going to be competitive. It's still going to sell, all those things. But on average, if you're kind of that typical home in Sunningdale, you're going to be sitting on the market for 52 days. You're looking to sell 52 days on the market. That would be normal. You're looking to buy. Hey, this home's been sitting for 100 days. Now we could offer a little lower. This home's only on the market for 20 days. We got to bring in a fair offer. They've only been on the market 20 days. They're right in the range. Okay. Here's benchmark for Sunningdale. You can see compared to Palliser, we got a little bit of a bigger home. So average home in Sunningdale, 3 bed, 2 bath. We got a double garage now. We're up at about 1,400 square feet. We got a bigger lot size. Lots of people like Sunningdale because those bigger lots, newer construction, 1993. Okay, so May benchmark price. This is detached. So this takes out the apartment. So detached benchmark price for Sunningdale, 515. Okay, so you're looking to get into a detached home in Sunningdale. Look at 515,000. 515 racks. That's getting up there. Okay, so talk to your banker about that. Can you afford that? Up 10% on the year. You want to move to Sunningdale last year? Should have done it. You're paying 10% more now. That hurts. Okay, Westmount. We're looking at Westmount. What do we got? Westmount is like South Hill. We talked about this down here. And I think they combine in the report. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they combine the South Hill. Yeah, they combine the West Heath data into this. So they got 15 sales. 25 new listings, 37 for sale, 2.47 months of supply. Okay, so not as competitive as Sunningdale, not as competitive as Palliser. There's more supply here in South Hill. Okay, again, lots of detached homes. 240,000, your money, there's lots of honestly, there's comparable homes in South Hill as there is to Palliser. Your money tends to just go a little farther in South Hill. So, we're at 240,000. You're looking to buy. We're still up 13% in the year. Those homes are going up in value, but your money just goes a little farther in South Hill. That's what I find. Personal opinion. Don't hold me to it. Anyways, detached benchmark. Here's what we're looking at South Hill for the typical home. Maybe one less bid than Palliser for the typical home. Two baths, single. a little bit smaller than what we're looking at. Palliser, same year. This is approximately, you know, I think Palliser was, I have to go back to 193 or 1990. Oh man, 1963, and South Hill's average is 1967. So this benchmark comes in a little lower. So I'll just scroll back up to that. It's kind of interesting comparison. So yeah, we're way up, 309 compared to 240. So you look at this, very comparable house to what we're looking at in South Hill, 1964, and then South Hill was a 19. I mean, I already lost my mind, but it was 1960 something, and we're paying in 309 in Palliser, but in South Hill, we're paying 240. So not only my personal opinion, but just what the numbers say is that your money for a very comparable home, maybe slightly less value offered here, is significantly less money over in South Hill. So if you're looking for the house, you don't really care about location, South Hill might be a really good spot for you to jump into over in this Westmount area. Okay, so, and brand new school, that's a big win. Gonna have sweet new classrooms, new, I don't know, new shops. I don't know what's going in there, but I think it sounds pretty cool. New school sounds awesome. So anyways, that's kind of that. So those are monthly reports for Moose Jaw for our neighborhoods. So that's really interesting. Let's look at this last little stat that I want to show you, just because I think this is really interesting. I use this all the time with buyers and sellers and show them this data because it really helps. If you have an offer come in, and you're like, is this fair? Is this too high? Is this too low? Or you're trying to write an offer and you're saying, am I writing a fair offer? What we're seeing right now is that in Moose Jaw, the average home for this month, right? May 25, well, sorry, last month, selling for 97.3% of list price. Okay, so if they've priced it, and it doesn't mean that people don't overprice. Sometimes people overprice their homes and they sell for less, but on average, if your home is priced right and it's fair market, you're gonna pay 97% of that. So that's a good way to say, look at your numbers. Hey, this home's listed at 250K. What's 97% of 250K? We punch that in, that's our offer. Or that's maybe, you know, we offer a little lower so we can meet them in the middle or whatever. That's probably what we're gonna pay. Okay, the next thing I want to show you here, check this out. This is one that I always find interesting. So we want to look at average sale price for the past 10 years. And this is, sorry, I'll just show you this. This is Moose Jaw. We're looking at Moose Jaw. Okay, so average sale price for the past 10 years, primary year. Look at this. This is our trend in the past 10 years. So if you're looking at maybe selling, look at this. When did you buy your home? If you bought in 2015, we're up, but not a lot. Right? If you bought here in 2021, that's the premium, okay? You're going to make a lot of value on your house, okay? So this is just a really good, interesting, you know, it's a pretty flat curve. I wonder if I can do some fancy. No, I better not. There's the data. If you want, you can pause the video there and look at that. Those are the average prices, average sale price for the year. But I just think, whoops, lost my, my chart. I just think this is so interesting to look at because if we know we bought in here, well then what did we pay for our house and how much has it gone up? We can easily calculate that percentage. You know, what's 234? What's the percent on 268? That's how much we're up. If we're looking at, and I'm working with a seller specifically, we can look at that specific neighborhood. Hey, you bought in Palliser. Let's just do Palliser for example. You bought in Palliser. Let's generate this. Whoa, we're way up now. So you bought in 2019. You know, now we're selling in 2025. Let's do the math on how much you're making, how much more we can price your house, plus what else you did, all these different things. This is just a really good guideline, and I use this all the time, and I think you guys should be considering this. So if you want to get more details on this data and how we can make this specific to you, send me a message. I'd love to, you know, break this down for you real quick. Send me what your home looks like or anything like that. I'd love to break this down for you. So I find that that's really helpful when we're looking at data, we're looking at our market. Anyways, this video is way too long. Thank you so much for watching. This is our monthly market report for June. If you're interested and you like content like this and you're interested in real estate, you're interested in Moose Jaw and what's going on, and you want to make sure that you can get the best price when you're buying, or you want to make sure you can get top dollar when you're selling, you need to subscribe because you need to get these monthly market reports because they keep you so informed on the numbers, because we always want to work off the numbers, never our feelings. I feel like my house is worth $1 million. I love my house, but it's not. And everyone wants, you know, the most money for their house, but we got to work off the numbers. We got to work off the facts. We can't work off our feelings, especially when it comes to numbers and real estate. This is a number driven or a number based system, and we got to work off numbers. We can't work off our feelings. So, you know, that's what it is. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And